Okay, welcome everybody to Deep Dive with DUI. This is our June session. So if you've, and just as a reminder for everybody that has joined us today, that we do this once a month on the first Thursday of each month at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And want everyone to know that it's going to be run on Facebook Live as well as this Zoom presentation. If you're viewing this in Zoom, be sure that you're watching this in presenter view. And if you have any questions throughout the presentation, please send them to me in your comment in the comments or the chat area, and we'll get to them as soon as we can. And I think I'm going to change my background here real quick because I'm having a hard time with. Apparently, I need a haircut, and it's not liking my. It's still bad. It doesn't like my hair. Anyways, we'll go with it today. We're also streaming this live on Facebook, which will monitor those chats also. So if you have questions, you can also chat there. Immediately after the presentation, all of this will be on Facebook Live or Facebook for playback. And later on, we will also post this on the YouTube channel. As a reminder, on the YouTube channel, we also have posted our DUI quick tips. Right now we have a bunch of the retro quick clips if you haven't seen some of those. So it's lucky I found some of them on an old archive version of our website. So some of those are live, and we'll be posting a lot more as they happen. So today I'd like to start off and introduce our speaker, and that's Jorge Román. He's with Bucea Baja Norte, and you're going to have to excuse any of my pronunciations with any of these things because I found that my Midwest accent and my lack of other languages, I pretty much butcher anything in other languages and pronunciations. Anyways, he's a PADI IDC staff instructor, tech diver from the Tijuana area, and an interesting fact, he started the first dive shop in Tijuana, which seems kind of crazy to me that, I mean, it's brand new roughly. I mean, just in the past few years. So that's awesome. He's been diving for over 15 years. And let's see what else do I want to talk about here. He's also one of the volunteers of the Rosarito Underwater Park, which has to do with the Uribe 121, which we'll be going over some of that today. And he'll be talking about some of his processes with that. So with that, first of all, I'd like to say hello, Jorge, and welcome. And before, don't forget, you're gonna have to unmute yourself just in case you're not unmuted. But before we get started, I like asking a question of what is your passion with diving? I mean, what is it? Is it photography, tech diving? I mean, it's what excites you about diving?
Well, I haven't thought about it much until somebody gave me a warning yesterday. So, hi everyone, I'm Jorge. So what I thought, and I think it's something that it was in the back of my head, but I never got to get it as a conscious thought, is I started when I was younger to do hiking, mountaineering, and a little bit of rock climbing. And the thing that it has in common with diving that I think I love about it is the exposure to the elements and to be there in nature, but to be able to enjoy it, but also in the sense of exposure as when you're climbing a mountain and you might not summit, but you try, and you can always come back, and it's important to be safe and to not die trying it. So it's the same approach that I have on diving. And I can be diving in a pretty close to my house place. And it could be that many people have dived before, but the exposure that I get is from going there without a guide, with my training, with my experience, with my body, and explore it like it was the first time that it was explored. So diving new sites, it's what excites me.
Yeah, scuba diving is an interesting thing. It's like, especially like for myself, it's interesting because I dive so often in the La Jolla area, and there's so many tourists that come by, and they're always like, "Did you see a shark?" And I'm like, "Yeah," but it was just this little tiny thing. You know, it's a whole new world. It's just exciting. And then, you know, I like sharing that with other people too, you know, so I'm always, you know, with the kids, I'll take my camera and start showing them the photos and stuff, and they'll go, wow, an octopus, you know.
And I was surprised because you very recently start to at least publish pictures. I didn't know you took pictures before. And it's something that I also got into because I wanted to share with other people what I saw, because you can explain that with words, but I think video and photo, those are better explaining, but even it gets short. It's not the same as being there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's fun sharing it. So, and that's, you know, why we're doing these things, because I like, you know, talking about places I either have dove or I'd like to go diving, and just, you know, it becomes a learning process for me in, you know, adding all these bits of information, you know, because, you know, scuba diving for me is actually kind of a new thing, but I'm very passionate about it. So
how long have you been diving?
I started diving in 2013, so I'm like a newbie. But yes, I do hit the water, you know, 3 to 4 times a week, you know, so I'm not like, you know, diving like once or twice a year in those times. It's you know, it's
always I think it's more accurate to have a count of your dives more than how long ago you learned to dive.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's good. I think you're almost advanced, right?
Maybe. I have the peak buoyancy down.
Awesome.
Okay, so let's get started with your presentation, because you're presenting on the Baja Norte area.
Yes. Should I share my screen then? Right?
Yes, you can. And I'm going to unpin myself. There you go. So you're the full-on spotlight now. So go ahead and share your screen.
Okay. Okay. Hold on. I didn't do the portion of the screen thing.
Preset it. It's okay.
Yes.
The thing is, we are real people. We're divers.
Yeah, I think, and the thing is, the funny thing that I didn't add to my bio is that I study IT.
Oh, it's okay. So you're able to operate email.
Because apparently I cannot make this thing to see, to show on the screen.
I see something.
I'm almost there. Yeah, I just need to do this a little larger and I think we're good. Okay, so just let me know, Jack, if I'm making something wrong and maybe they read my diploma on IT. So I call this presentation Baja California, the southern neighbor, because several words there I wanted for you guys to know, and I'm assuming that many or some, at least some people are going to be from the U.S. and not necessarily familiar with the region. And usually when somebody from somewhere else thinks about the place I live, they only call them Baja, and that's it. And for us, it's a little catchy because Baja is the whole peninsula, and I'll show a map in a minute. But what I'm trying to say is that Baja California is a state, and it's divided in 2 parts of the peninsula. So I'll show it in a minute. What this presentation is about, it's to show you more or less a picture of what Baja California has to offer. This great picture is from a friend of mine, and you'll see several photos of him, Antonio Frias, of Coronado Island. And you may be familiar with this because Waterhorse Charters from San Diego, good friends of us, run a weekly trip almost to Coronado Island. So if you have been on those trips, you have been visiting Tijuana a lot, because that's actually part of Tijuana.
Yeah, I always forget that, because it's like you sign up for those trips and it's like, make sure you bring your passport. It's like, why? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's funny, and it's also funny because only boats from San Diego go to Coronado Island to dive. From Mexico, you have to go on a Panga, which is far more uncomfortable, and there's no no pier or place that you can take a boat out. All the way to Ensenada is the closest. So basically, San Diego is closest to us too. And these are the maps I was referring. What I wanted to show you is on the top left corner, you'll see the state of Baja California. So you see that it's half of the peninsula. And the lower half is Baja California Sur. So that's another name, Baja California also, but you add the south part of to the name. And many people that think that are gonna be diving to Baja, they think they're gonna be diving in the south part. So that's if that's what you were thinking, any of you guys, you're in the wrong presentation.
Right, and the water's temperature is definitely different in the south portion versus where you're going to be talking about.
Yes, and I'll talk about that too, because I have even had calls from Mexican citizens asking me to dive in La Paz and then Ensenada on the same day, and that's a flight of an hour and a half to get to La Paz to Ensenada. So they don't realize how big it is and how far away they are. Before I change the slide, I want to show you also that those three circles that you see at the bottom map, it's more or less the footage that you'll see today. So if I said that I was going to do a thorough tour to Baja California, I lied a little bit because I'm only going to show you 3 areas this time. I have dived several other spots, but I don't have footage, or I was teaching, or some other reason. So I'll leave some stuff for the next presentation, hopefully.
Yeah, the coastline looks like there's plenty of places to go diving there.
Yes, and yes, all those places we have, obviously lots of coastline are diveable, and most of them are actually dived pretty often, but by commercial divers that they usually dive to get sea cucumber, sea urchin, and a bunch of other stuff, abalone, and not much dive by recreational divers. The problem with this, that at the same time is like a good thing for adventure, is that most of that coastline doesn't have any scuba cylinders, compressor to fill them up. So if you go there, you need to bring everything with you. Because commercial divers dive with a compressor on board and a hookah system. And that's why also many of the places in Baja are not dive recreationally, because it's complicated. And distances are long, as you can see on this slide that I just placed there, so you can have an idea of what the distances are driving from the border to all those different places.
Yeah, so it'd be more like an expedition type of dive where you need to bring all your gear, make sure you're able to safely exit or get help if you have to.
Yeah, and even you need to be prepared in the sense of in case you have an emergency. There's several areas doesn't have cell phone signal, so you need to think on all of that if you're thinking on joining an adventure in Baja. At the shop, that's part of the plans that we are developing, like visiting sites and figuring out the logistics, and then to eventually bring back groups. So that's something that it's the reason why you'll see all this footage, because most of the footage that you'll see today, especially in the south of Ensenada, it's because I went there to record it and see the sites and dive it for the first time, at least for myself. And so in these 2 pictures, I'll just show you the difference on the coastlines. The one on the left is the Pacific, and the one on the right is the Bahia de Los Angeles. That you people in the US, you call it Bola or Bay of LA, Bahia de Los Angeles. And Pacific Ocean diving. So in case someone, that it's unlikely, I think, but if someone is not familiar with California diving, I can explain that you'll see some or less an environment like the one you're looking at the picture right now. That is looking at Garibaldi's blacksmiths and senoritas that you see over there. I also wrote the temperatures on the surface and underwater average year round. So it's pretty mild weather as in California, south of California, and the water temperature is pretty similar in the Pacific.
So since you talked about seeing Garibaldi, this is maybe just a silly question. Garibaldi is the state fish of California. Do people fish for them in Mexico?
Actually, yes. I haven't eaten them. I don't think they it's not in my appetite kind of thing. Maybe because I have seen them so much, and it's actually my company's logo. But
Well,
but it's interesting because we were in Ensenada with the group from San Diego, and we went to a place called El Mercado Negro. That it's basically a fisherman's like a lot of shops that they sell fish. It's a fish market. And they have a lot of Garibaldis there for sale, but they didn't say that it was Garibaldi. They said that it was a Huachinango or something like that. Another name for it, but yeah, it was dead Garibaldis. The people from San Diego were a little bit shocked.
yeah, that's my running joke with people is they go, I tell them, yeah, the Garibaldi, they taste like chicken. And they're like, what? Like you've had it? I'm like going, no, you can't take them in California.
Well, you can take them and eat them in Ensenada, apparently, okay. But I haven't. Some other things that I wanted to show you, it's the how dramatic the coastline is in Baja, and if you're looking for warm water in the Pacific side of Baja California, you're in the wrong place, because all the way to where the Baja California ends is cold. But the cliffs are impressive. This is actually a place in Ensenada near La Bufadora that it's you can see the car park there. So from there, there's steps to get all your weights and tanks down. It's tiresome, but it's actually a pretty nice place, this one that I'm showing you. And there's tons of places very similar to this where you can get in and dive. Just for you guys to see the usual suspects, and just as in California, these pictures are from Rosarito, I think, or maybe Ensenada, showing the strawberry anemone, the spiny lobster, and nudibranchs. We have tons also. And also you can see the Panga that is a very typical vessel that we dive out of. And on the back of this picture, I think you see my laser, right? My laser?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So this is Sugarloaf Rock that you can see it protruding from the ocean or getting out of the ocean in front of Puerto Nuevo. If you're eating lobster at Puerto Nuevo, that is pretty famous for, you can see in the ocean this rock right here. And you'll see some pictures of it in the next slides.
And I do have to confirm that the lobster was very good and reasonably priced going there. So I thoroughly enjoyed that part of the trip.
Yes, it's as you said, just as you put it. And the flour tortillas are great, very famous for them. These pictures are from a kelp forest or small kelp forest in Rosarito, taken by Tiffany Poon from San Diego that you might know or heard of. So this is in front of Baja Mar. It's a little, it's like in the between Ensenada and Rosarito. And it's some places that we were exploring, and apparently we hit the jackpot here. And just for you guys to know, kind of have a sense of where Rosarito is in the peninsula, you can see there the circled areas on the maps. This point here is Tijuana, and the other circles are Rosarito. So it used to be part of Tijuana, so it's pretty close to Tijuana.
And then, so you run trips
yes,
pretty often to these areas?
Yes, actually, the most common place that I go dive, it's Rosarito and Ensenada, and not Coronado Islands, which is the closest. And it's because of what I just explained to you, that there's no infrastructure to go to Coronado from the Mexican side, right. Surprisingly.
And I know just so people know that if they are driving down, the road system actually pretty good to get down to that area. And it was very fast.
Yes, the toll road from the toll road from that you can almost take from the border to all the way to Ensenada. It's awesome, and it is also with very good views because it's going through the very side of the coastline. And yes, it's pretty well maintained. This picture is actually from Sugarloaf Rock in Rosarito. It's an old one, probably over 10 years ago, taken by Antonio Frias as well. I haven't seen those sea stars on that rock lately. And also they kind of wipe out. I don't know the number of that sea star though, but I have seen them. They were kind of wipe out from the area, but they're starting to come back, surprisingly. I have started seeing them again in Ensenada and Rosarito, but not as many as in this picture.
Yeah, the same thing was happening in San Diego, and not that the waters are that far from each other. It was the same kind of thing.
Yeah, and when you talk about Ensenada and Rosarito conditions and environment, I'll say that it's basically the same as San Diego, Point Loma, Kelp beds, and all those kind of sites, because there's no border underwater and they're pretty close. And in this, I'll show you my worst video first, according to me.
Oh.
So this is where you're gonna help me, Jack, playing this video that I edited, automatically edited. So if it's not great, it's because of randomness.
Okay, so we're ready for the video.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone should be able to see that. Oops, got to make sure there we go. And I do have the music turned down on this just because so I don't run into potential copyright.
Okay. And I was looking for best footage, and I think I do, but it's not, I couldn't find it. I just was doing it. Maybe not the right thing to do, but I was doing last minute on the Uribe. So I didn't do a good job on what I'm showing you on the Uribe and the Sugarloaf Rock. So it's a pretty short video. But you'll see that there's a lot of life in the Uribe, and this is probably over 6 months old. Now you can see a lot of school of fishes. Strawberry anemone were one of the first things that developed there. And as I mentioned on the bio, from when the ship was sank, and let me go a little further back. When there was an idea of sinking the Uribe, should I just share the screen again? I think, right?
Yep. Yeah, you can. Sorry,
okay,
it's
let me do it again. Yeah. Okay,
and then, if possible, can you make your presentation a little bit bigger when you share it so that it's a little bit clearer? The scaling on the
scaling is not right.
It's a little on some of the smaller text. It's a little blurrier.
Let me see. Let me try to share it again. But what I was trying, I can explain what I'll do this.
You're
let me stop the share. So what I was saying is that well, let me concentrate on this first. Apparently.
Yeah. No, go ahead. Just do the share portion of the screen just a little bit larger, if possible.
Is that any better?
Hang on, it's loading. Yeah, it's a little bit clearer now. Yes. Okay, we can work with that. So what I was saying on the Uribe is that when there was a project of doing that artificial reef from the getting donated, the Uribe was donated by the Mexican army. Dick Long from DUI help us and give us guidance on how the Yukon was done and the openings and how to prepare the ship and everything. So there was a lot of planning going on beforehand. And the time that when it sunk, we already did some cutouts of the hull, so they can be hanging on ropes in the plan that we will be taking it periodically to do a study of life development. So that's something that we did right away from the sinking. And that's why I have a lot of dives on that wreck, taking those things out. Eventually, the scientific in charge of the project decided to place also clay plaques and PVC to see how they worked. And we did that as well. So it was over 2 years, almost 3, that we were taking out plaques and they were studying them. So the first things that attached to the hull were nudibranch eggs, and eventually the strawberry anemones appear. Right. So it was an interesting project to be involved with. So there's some scientific studies going along with making it a diveable wreck.
Yeah, yes, of course. And there's some that might develop in the future, because one of the ideas of Pacusel that I think is listening to us right now, that is the president of the nonprofit, is to use the wreck as a laboratory for studies that students from PhDs projects in Ensenada can use it. It could be like planting kelp or abalone or whatever they want to do with it, as long as it's not damaging, obviously. So yeah, it's that study of the it's called bentonic life. That is the one that is at the bottom. It's done already. I think it's in the process of or it's in the phase of processing all the data. But it's the project is done. It's finished.
Right. So the local government's more accepting of having the ship or artificial reefs off your coast versus kind of like California. We kind of stopped everything.
Yeah, I heard that the city doesn't want any more artificial reefs in the coastline. Yes, in Mexico it's possible. It is, as in any country, very complicated to do it the right way, because there's federal requirements, state requirements, and also city requirements to do it. So it took about over 8 years to do it, not only because of the money, but also because of all the paperwork and studies that had to be done before. And so now, unless you have any questions on the Uribe, I can move on to show you a little more of the coastline. This is Arbolitos, that is very close and very similar to Camp Kennedy or Campo Kennedy. That is the equivalent of La Jolla Shores for you divers from San Diego, because Campo Kennedy is where most of us get certified in this side of the border as a beach entry. And it's very similar to this. The nice part of this area of this side of the hill is that there's no cell phone signal. So you're only like 10 minutes away from wherever you can get signal on your cell phone. But it's nice to not have a signal and just focus on diving and give you that sense of being in the wild, although you're pretty close to the road. And just to show you where Ensenada is, to have some consistency, you can see where Tijuana is, the border, and Ensenada is just further south. The wildlife you may encounter here is similar to Southern California. You can see some pictures here, like the tree fish, the green mori. We can see seals and sea lions as well. And you can see a kelp forest over there with sea urchins and a bunch of usual expected life. And now,
so that's yes. A pretty protected cove area.
Yes, and it's pointing south, and at least in Ensenada, most of the currents are coming from the north, so most of the times it's pretty calm. Although as is the ocean, so sometimes you may get some rough seas. And there are several coves, like the one that I was showing. There's tons of them around the La Bufadora Peninsula. There is a very small peninsula where you can dive on both sides and have several coves. Some of them have you can drive your car down, and some others have some steps, and some others are just trails and are hard to get in and out. But they are nice places to dive.
Okay, so I see I'm supposed to share my screen now.
Yes.
Okay, let's start this video.
Okay, so
that's the Uribe, right?
No, this is not the Uribe, and
no?
This is
okay.
Something that I maybe I don't know if somebody's gonna try to tell me something about it, because this is an unknown wreck that was found near Todos Santos Island. But there was some kind of dispute. They don't know which boat it is, and it's probably been sunk there for over 40 years or so. It's deep. It was a technical dive. It's like 45 meters, like a little like 145, 150 feet deep. This is a mix between Ensenada. So what you first saw at the beginning, it was a wreck of an unknown ship, and the thing is that they don't know what boat it is, and there was some resistance on people getting to disclose where it's located. So I was
Okay.
taken to the site, and it's nice, but it's deep. It's not recreational.
Okay, you didn't bring that one. You didn't bring me to that one.
I haven't. I have only dived once, but apparently the one is out of the hat, as they say.
Okay, well, I'll keep playing the video now. Sorry.
And this is just to show you like a general idea of what you'll see in general in Ensenada. This footage from La Bufadora, from Todos Santos. The wreck was from near the Todos Santos Island that is in front of the bay in Ensenada, in the city. And you'll see a bunch of very known wildlife that you'll encounter in California as well. But you also see a lot of yellow sponges and a bunch. It's very colorful. That in some sense is different from what you'll find in San Diego. And there's tons of sites with sinking rocks and walls and arches. This is not obviously making fair justice to what you can encounter in Ensenada, because it will be impossible to show you all. But it's just to give you an idea of what you can find. And there's the sites are from very new divers, like 40, 50 feet to way over beyond recreational limits. As I stated, I'm starting to do tech diving. I'm actually new to it. But one of the reasons I started to do that training is because many of these sites, if I want to explore them further, stay longer to kind of understand the formations or how they what else there is to be, it will help to stay there longer and also go a little deeper to find some more kind of life. And that's something that Ensenada and Baja California in general has to offer a lot.
So it looks like the bottom's a lot more rocky in the sense of it's kind of more like our Point Loma, I guess.
Yes, and you can see a lot of, there's a lot of big rocks that it will give you a very nice walls or even underhangs and things like that. And usually in La Bufadora, it's exposed to clean water from the north. So the visibility tends to be better between 70 feet and over, and more than that, even if it's murky on the surface or close to the surface. So for me, at least in Ensenada, I think the best diving that you can do is not necessarily tech diving, but 70, 80 feet is what gives you the most out of it. Okay, so you're back to seeing my screen, correct?
Yep.
Okay. Well, this is a kelp forest in Baja California, which but with all honesty, I'm not sure exactly from where, because I didn't take this picture, but I can tell you that this is from Baja California, 100% sure. And I want to show you another video of the same area of Ensenada. This is a place new to me that is called Bahía del Descanso. It's very close to Camp Kennedy and Arbolitos. That is the pictures that I showed you before that I have been diving since I got certified. But this is a boat ride, and I have just done it twice, and it's a big area. There's a bunch of things there to still discover and explore. And I think this video does a fair impression of what it's about. There's a lot of fish. I don't have a macro lens on the GoPro, but if you could be able to see it, you'll see that there are nudibranchs and a bunch of small things. And in this video, if some of you knows, let me know, because in one part of the video, I point out something that I don't know what it is. So let me know if you know.
It's called the diver's finger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, switch to sharing screen. So a lot of these areas are pretty much like new dive sites because there hasn't been a lot of like documented diving, I assume.
Exactly. That's the right way to put it. They certainly have been dived recreationally for years, 30 or more, or who knows. But we don't know because it's not documented. One of the projects that we have even from the very start of the project of the Uribe is to do a good diving guide of Baja California. And that talk has been recycled with the Mexican authorities every time there's no new government in office to get the funding mostly of doing something right, like a book or something. So it's something that we discussed even a month and a half ago, and it will do a lot of help for us divers to get to know what it is, and whatever we have discovered doesn't get lost in history just because we didn't document it.
Right. It also helps promote travel from outside, from other areas.
Correct.
Right. Okay, so here we'll go with the video. Maybe.
And at that particular time, we probably were 80 feet or 70 feet, and it went down furthermore, maybe 130, 140. It was a good day. There was a red tide or something floating, making it very dark. So it wasn't as clear. It looked kind of nice, like night diving sense of it, but it was still impressed with what I saw. This is the first time I dove those sites. I went back once already. But I'm looking forward to dive it in October, November, when the water is most of the times clear.
Yeah, it's always interesting going to new locations, just to not only see the different structure, but just seeing what else you can find. The ocean has so much stuff.
Yes, and honestly, what we can dive in one tank or in a couple of times is nothing. It's a very short distance. So to get to know one side, you see what it is. What is that?
Oh yeah, I know. Okay, I've seen them. They're on the Yukon.
It looks like a fluorescent flower or something, but I wasn't clear on where it was. And also that same day, this is a second dive. We were diving a place that it looked very much like La Jolla Cove, and it was shallow too, like 20 feet. And we were looking for giant sea bass because the guy that took us diving, it was a commercial diver, and he said that he has seen several times giant sea bass in that site, but we couldn't find them.
You mean like the giant black sea bass?
Yes.
So they're protected in California?
They aren't in Baja.
Okay.
They aren't. They fish them, which is a shame. We were dancing.
That's what laughing at the dancing, not the.
No, it's a shame. I have seen pictures of mostly people fishing with from the surface, but taking 4 or 5 of them. It's a shame. They're not protected as far as I know. In the Mexican side.
Do you see any of the like the 7-gill sharks and stuff like that in that area?
7 gills. I haven't seen them personally, but yes, you can see them. I have seen pictures of other divers from Mexico City actually that did a dive in it's called San Benito Natividad. There are a couple of islands still in Baja California in the north part, but just borderline with Baja California south. So yes, you can see the 7 gills, but not close to us. It's like probably an 8-hour drive and an hour boat ride.
Yeah, because usually in the springtime we've been seeing the 7 gills in the La Jolla Cove area. So I'm assuming they swim all the way up and down the coast.
Yes, they do. But it's surprisingly, it's not as close to the border as you would think. It's way more south, like I said, like 8 hours on drive and far away. But I mean, there's tons of things to discover in the sense that they might as well see them. You can see them closer, but just I haven't heard of it. In this picture is from San Jeronimo. That is an island close to El Rosario. Is the name of the town is south of San Quintin. And this was a very surprisingly good site that we dove. And as you see, it's in the center part of the northern state, that is Baja California. It's like a 5-hour drive from Tijuana to get there. Another thing that I want to share with you guys is that most of this, all the coastline has some kind of a fisherman co-op that they have the permit to exploit it commercially. So one of the things that happens also is that you may get in trouble if you get there, bring your boat, your Zodiac or whatever, and go there and dive with the locals, because the locals are very jealous of what their area is, because they are obviously growing or let fish get bigger, lobster, abalone, stuff like that. So if you ever go to those kind of places, you need to ask the locals if it's okay for them to go there and diving. It might not be a really big issue, but it might be a big one as well.
Right. So they don't want you to take the fish or the lobster, so to speak.
Oh, if you do that, you'll be in trouble for sure. Yes. Right. Even if you have a permit that you bought from the Mexican government and whatever, they don't care, because it's their money. And they, right. Like for instance, El Rosario is a great example of conservation. I got it took me several trips to get to know the locals and been allowed to take to the sites. Because first they wanted to know what do I want to do, and they didn't understand at first that I just wanted to recreationally dive and don't take anything out of it and just take pictures. So once we got the talk going, eventually I got a pretty good relationship with them, and they explained to me what happened, that they overfish the whole area. There was no lobster, no abalone, no nothing. So people start leaving town, and the town is just for fishermen. The only thing that Rosario is famous for is for the Baja Mil race. That is when all these race cars go down through the town. Mm-hmm. But basically the rest of the year they get their money out of fish. So anyways, they overexploited the ocean, and eventually the only thing that they had left was to repopulate it, and they start planting abalone. They start to do sustaining fishermen like projects, and they got funding from the federal government to not to fish 1 year or not to take lobster one other year and things like that. So now it's full with life, and you'll see it on the video. But it's they're very jealous of anyone that is close by. Even if a boat comes there and they are going to fish, they rather ask them first. And they might even let you, but what they want you is to go there, ask them, and even what they feel more comfortable with is that you pay them to guide you on those sites, or at least take you fishing. Right. So you leave some money in there.
Well, but it's also good to hear that they're not just fishing these places till they're completely barren, that they are looking for the future and stuff like that. So that's really good.
Yeah, they went to the extreme of not having nothing. So they learned that lesson, and they're flourishing, and they're pretty healthy reefs, and they are repopulating an black abalone. I think that it was something that it was already extinct in that region. And they're working with the university in Ensenada. They're doing great things. They even give scholarship to people in town to keep studying. It's awesome what they do.
That's good.
So let me show you the video. And that's Miguel, the guy that was on the boat there with the wetsuit. It's it was our dive master, and he's also the president of the fisherman company. He loves to dive, but he got cold. We were all diving dry, and he was using an 8mm wetsuit, which is a good wetsuit, but he didn't bail on us. He said, "No, I might be cold, but I love diving, so I'm gonna go down." And he did like 9 dives and 3 days with us with a wetsuit.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Yes, we were all, using Drysuits, and we were happy with it. And as you see, it's pretty similar to what you have seen in the videos in Ensenada. And if you have dived in Ensenada, it's similar. But especially, particularly, you'll see this is San Jeronimo, and then you'll see on the video that we go back on the boat. And when we did the second part of the video dive, you'll see what I'm talking about in the sense that you see the sheepheads, but several of them. We even got to see a swell shark, but it's not shown in the video. The pangas, they take them out very interestingly. Just go there and hit the sand with us in it. It was an interesting out of the water.
Just drive them right up. Yeah.
Yep.
They lift the outboard at that time.
Yes.
So
yeah, and it took us several trips to find the right spots. We did actually with Tiffany and Richard Huey, that you know as well. Mm-hmm. We went there the first time. We went in March. The water was super green, and we dived very bad sites. It was a bad trip in the sense that we didn't see what we were expecting. We were expecting more something like this. So I went there a couple of more times and then eventually find the right spots. Because as I said, they dive the sites, and you can see a commercial diver right there. They know the area, but they don't know what you're looking for in the sense of depth or formations and things like that. They obviously think on the ocean in different levels, like where there's more lobster to take out or something else. So that was interesting also, to be able to find those kind of places. In those sites in El Rosario and also in Ensenada, you see a lot of sea lions, which are not shown in the footage that I have. For some reason, I didn't have them, but we saw sea lions as well.
yeah, it definitely looks like you have kelp and stuff too, so that's good.
Yes, it's pretty healthy.
Okay, so back to you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and to get to the final phase of presentation, I'm just gonna show you one site on the side of the Sea of Cortes, that it will be what most people will associate with warm water close by. And you can see the temperatures there, so are different. But interestingly enough, it's warm in some months, like starting April, May, like right now, it starts to warm up, but it gets pretty cold in the winter. I dove there in March, and I was using my Drysuit, and not because of you, that you dive in warm water with the Drysuit, right?
Yeah.
No. I was using it because it was cold. I wasn't wearing a hood, but the water was cold, and I was using a Drysuit myself.
Yeah. Yeah,
yes.
I am diving warmer water with the Drysuit these days, just because if I'm going to go diving, I'm going to be in the water for hours. And even at 75 to 80 degrees, that starts getting cold after hours and hours of diving. So anyways, that's just, normally I don't get cold, but after a while you start feeling it, especially after like 9 days of diving.
Yes, like Jackie from San Diego also uses Drysuit on Florida and warm water trips, which some people find odd, but I understand. I mean, as long as you have an undergarment that is not as thick, it works. Yeah. So anyways, but yeah, Los Angeles is famous for the whale sharks that the season is starting right now. And by the way, I'm driving there tomorrow, so I'm excited.
Wow.
And coming back on Tuesday, so it's just a short trip. But it starts the season right now. So the first whale sharks, I think I already arrived. I'm following the park, the reservation or the preserve page, and they already have whale sharks over there, and they stay there until November or December. So I'm not expecting to see many whale sharks, but I might see some. But this is a very nice place to go there, snorkel with the whale sharks, and the diving is pretty good also. These are a couple of pictures of, you can see the fish here that is camouflaged. And you start to see the warm water fish that you may see all the way down to Cabo, like the America and the Sargent and those kind of things. So it's a weird mix of fish. And let me show you where Bahia Los Angeles is. So it's on the other side. It's probably like 9 hours drive. And so what I was impressed on Bahia Los Angeles, it's the variety of life and how it changes through the year. You can see fin whales on the surface. You can see orcas. I was there in September last year, and there was a week that there were no whale sharks. They all disappeared, and then a pot of orcas were there for a week. So that was the reason. You can see pilot whales. You can see turtles. In the winter months, you can see nudibranchs. So there's a bunch of variety. And also the other thing that I was surprised is the currents. Low tide and high tide, and even you have to be aware on which part of the month you're diving. The currents could be very, very strong. I thought it was gonna be warm water easy diving, and sometimes it isn't. So there's like a picture of a whale shark, and this guy in here is actually Dave Hinkle from Blue Abyss from San Diego. We went there last year. And let me show you a video of the of Bahia Los Angeles from last year.
And so these are the full-size whale sharks?
Yes, they're. I think they're. Yeah, you can see adults and also young adults.
Because
yes,
it's not like it's not necessarily like a nursery type of area.
No, it's not a nursery. And I have been to Bahia several times to see the whale sharks. You can see my light there. And I have seen groups of 15 or more. If you're lucky. If you're not lucky, you at least see a couple. And the best always is the best to go in the mid-season when there's more available. But if you don't see them, there might be some orcas in there. And you can see like those gorgonians. There's all over the place. Warm water fish. It's also panga diving, but these pangas are pretty nice. By the way, the only operation that has tank compressors and everything in there is Ricardo Arce. So you can see us Ricardo snorkeling tours. I think you can find him on Facebook. He's a PADI dive master, and he can take you diving. He's been diving there all his life, so he's the guy to reach.
So what were the water temps when you were there?
These videos, it was warm water. I was diving without a wetsuit some days because last year I was certifying some of the captains of Ricardo's operation, and I was finishing Ricardo's dive master course. So I stayed there for a month. I stayed almost like 20 days in September. So I dove daily, and some days I used a wetsuit. Some days I just was wearing shorts. And that will be finishing a small tour to Baja California. And let me show you this slide. So I want to tell the story of my American flag Drysuit there that I'm wearing, that is obviously not mine. I just wanted to state first that I'm a Mexican citizen. So there's no reason why I was wearing that flag. The reason was that I got to guide Dick Long, the owner of DUI, on the Uribe. And he asked me if I wanted to use his Drysuit on the second dive. So that's the reason I'm wearing it. The first time I wore a Drysuit, and it was quite a challenge to dive with it because my fins didn't fit with the Drysuit boots. So I got Dick's fins as well. So it was a different kind of fins. I was using his DUI weight harness that I have never used before as well. So it was like all those things that you shouldn't do, like change three parts of the gear at the same time. But I enjoy it, and it was a pretty nice suit. And once I end up diving dry, I never went back. It's a nice piece of gear. So that's why I'm wearing the Dick's suit.
Yeah, people still ask for that red and white stripe, but it's a pattern that or material we don't have anymore in stock.
Really?
Of. Right.
That's a bummer.
So when you see that suit or suits like that, it's those are rare.
Well, but I'm glad that I have that picture, and so I was using the Captain America suit for one. Okay, Jack, but this is kind of wraps it up in the sense that what I wanted to share with you guys. I wish I had some more footage, but I'm probably gonna post some more stuff in my YouTube channel and things. Okay. I don't know if you have questions or follow up.
I saw a photo of me.
Yes, of course. I really like this picture, and it was end up being like edited on my photos automatically as a gift, so it has a movement. But it was nice that you were helping us out setting up the OMS side mount harnesses. That we're really enjoying it. So you got to visit us here in our Tijuana pool.
And I like having the Velcro patch on my suit. So I actually have a Mexican flag on my sleeve that you may or may not see, because it depends on whose screen's looking at it, may not be as clear. But yeah.
I saw it when I saw the picture. I didn't realize it when you were there with us, but it was a nice touch. I'm glad that you have the Mexican flag. I can use the US flag and you can use the Mexican flag. And that's what this is all about, bringing us together.
So one of the questions that was asked was, is Dale still operating out of La Bufadora?
The operation is still there. It's not Dale anymore. It's Dale's son. That is, his name is Jason. I don't know if you can reach him through Dale's phone, but yeah, Dale's still around. But now it's Jason is the one that can take you off.
Okay, yeah, I'm not familiar with that. That was a question from one of our viewers of the presentation. So that was probably before my time going down there anyways. Yes, I knew Dale from when I got certified. I went out with him, so I know Dale from a long time. So like 15 years ago. So here's another trick. It's kind of a trick question because I know part of the answer. If someone's unfamiliar with diving in Baja, are there specific dive shops? So I kind of know that one. Well, one of or dive shops, tour groups, boats, clubs, etc., that they can travel with to these various dive sites, or resources to discuss the logistics with.
Well, I own a dive shop, obviously, right? So
right. That's why I said it's a trick question.
I can take you to those sites. The only thing is that it's something that I haven't scheduled yet, because on those dives, as you saw the vessels, they're small boats. So usually works on groups of 5 or between 3 and 5 people. Or it needs to be on those multiples, so to make it feasible. And the other one is that for most of that diving in the Pacific, particularly, you need to be a pretty solid cold water diver, because the ocean is rough, the driving is long, the boat rides could be wrong, and to be able to go to those sites and dive them, there's no place to do a weight check, or it could, but it will be a waste.
Right.
So in that sense, if there's people that want to do it, you can go ahead and ask me, and certainly we can arrange it. I'm not the only dive shop that there's around. I'm unaware, and as far as I know, those kind of trips are not offered by other dive shops either. But there's at least 3 dive shops in Ensenada that are operational as well. In Tijuana, I'm the only one, but in Ensenada, there's been diving shops for 40 years.
Right, so they're able to get tanks and stuff if they need to there, or if they're coming from the U.S. I know when I came, I brought my own tanks.
Especially if you like steel tanks, that will not be something that is available for rental.
Right, so maybe not necessarily a wider variety, customizing towards like technical divers and stuff like that, but
That's something that is being developed because, for instance, now I can feel nitrox in here, and I just became a tech diver. So my plan is to eventually do tech divers on those trips, because that's something that personally we want to do on the group of divers that we have. I already have doubles, like 4 or 5 set of doubles that I can use. So we are going towards that way. So, and I have taken even rebreather divers to the Uribe and things like that. So I'm familiar with that. It is possible to do. There's some there's some things already in existence that can make those things possible, but it does require planning to be safe.
Mm-hmm. So regarding the Pangas, so people that may not be familiar with a Panga versus like a dive boat, maybe out of the US or somewhere in the Caribbean where you have a nice swim step that you come up on. A Panga is basically just a converted fishing boat? How would you describe that?
It is a fishing boat. It doesn't, most of the times, doesn't have a ladder. So you have to, you go the backflip in, but on the way in or back in, you need to take off your weights, your gear, pass it on. The captain is going to pull it, and you need to do a jump that takes some training to get the hang of it. Right. So it is something to consider if you have some injury in your back or some things like that, because it's rough. Right. It's not as nice or as easy to get back into those things than a dive boat.
Right.
And
so
it's
there
something
are some
that
physical considerations to look at.
Yes. And we make this the best we can to make it comfortable, in the sense that some Pangas have ladders, and even I try to make a ladder myself, but the thing is that there are different dimensions, so a ladder doesn't work for every Panga. So that's one of the challenges that has been happening in here. There's a fishing boat, but it's a big one that has a step. Doesn't have a ladder yet, but I've been in talks with them so they can install a ladder, because they use them for fishing. But that boat can seat like 15 divers, but it's for local trips to La Bufadora and Ensenada. So that's the nicest that is. The nice thing about it is that it's not a Panga. It has a restroom. It has some kind of, it has even a fridge and a kitchen and things like that. Mm-hmm. So there's some projects on doing something that is nicer, but you should always make sure that you talk to me or whoever you're going diving with to the specifics, because it's not going to be the American standard, because Right. There isn't those kind of boats available, at least not yet.
Yeah, so definitely a thing on the Panga side is they get there fast.
That's a good thing.
They're not a slow boat, and you get kind of zippy travel long distance relatively quick.
Yes, I like them, but there's some limitations to them.
So, question about the Ensenada area with the Uribe 121. So there's rumors of possibly having a submarine that's currently docked in San Diego as a artificial reef there. Is that still, if that's still in talks, or where that's at?
I think the talks are at least stalled. I don't know if it's gonna eventually happen, but as far as I know, there were some talks about taking the Russian submarine that is sitting in San Diego to bring it here, but I don't think it's likely that it's gonna end up here, at least soon. It might be later, but as far as I know, there's no more. It's not a go at this point.
Right. No, I was saying it's kind of tough because if talks are stalled, because I know that right now they are constantly pumping water out of it to keep it afloat in the harbor in San Diego.
Yeah, and I think both parties were happy to do it, but it always comes down to money in a project like that. It takes a lot of money to move it, to float it, to bring it, and it's not the best time for the nonprofit, in the sense that with all this craziness of COVID last year, that kind of project is the first one that loses funding, since we are all have different priorities in our households, I think.
Right. So I just want to mention something from a U.S. perspective, U.S. citizen perspective. Going into Mexico or Tijuana is actually very quick. People worry about driving their cars down there. I mean, I worry about the potholes. Every once in a while, I keep an eye out for where I'm driving, but the roads are generally in good shape. And you do have to be an aware driver, especially if you're not familiar with the area, different things. And I would suggest getting, the Sentry or the Global Entry especially if you're driving over the border for on the way back. So in the old days, people used to go to Tijuana just to go party and then come back to the US, which I didn't quite understand, but traveling back and forth with dive gear in a car, having the Sentry lane or the Global Entry was definitely beneficial. Makes it traveling back and forth so much better, so much easier. And the border is open for at least the US citizens to travel into Mexico and back and forth. So there shouldn't be an issue.
Correct. And also adding to that, also the vaccination in here is also happening because in California, as far as I know, it's wide open to everyone. In Mexico, it's a little behind, but it's still ongoing, and many people are vaccinated already. There's obviously some restrictions on using face cover, but yeah, it's open. The border is open to US citizens. And I think if you plan to come more than once in your life, get the Sentry or the Global Entry. It's worth it. It's not that expensive, and it's a game changer on the way back, because if you're with very bad luck, you may end up waiting a long time at the border going back to the US.
Yeah, so I don't recommend coming back on a Sunday evening type of thing without the Global Entry or Sentry.
Correct. Yeah.
Some of my friends can attest to you.
Yes, I have heard of some people like that. And also US holidays, it's a bad idea, because it's many people come to Mexico on those weekends, and the waiting is longer to go back to the US.
Yeah, but I just want to make sure people know that it's not like some scary adventure. I mean, obviously we are, from the US going to a different country, so there's some border things that you have to go through. But me traveling to Tijuana and the Ensenada area, I found it actually quite pleasant. Food was good. People were nice. I didn't understand half the things that were being said. Like, for example, when you say I'm a diver, now you can say, what I kind of laugh at in Spanish, it's buzo.
Okay.
I'm probably saying it wrong, but I always laugh at that.
Actually, you pronounce it well, and it's funny. I didn't realize what it could mean in English. Yeah. So yes, we are all buzos.
I'm a buzo. No, diver. So yeah. So there's some of that's you kind of go with it.
And any of you guys, if you want to come and dive here, honestly, I'll do my best to give you the best advice on where to stay, where to drive, etc., etc. Whatever I can do to help you make your trip easier, I will. Also, there's a lot of offer or a lot of touristic places to go, in the sense of breweries, restaurants. There's a bunch of other stuff to do. Over here, you can dive and go there to a restaurant in the evening, and it's a pretty pleasant and nice weekend that you can have. In a restaurant, I can say that almost everywhere there will be some bilingual waiter or waitress that will help you. So even the language might not be a problem, or at least not that much.
Yeah, the brewery you brought me to the other day, that was pretty nice, and the food was good.
Yes.
So I can definitely say it's a positive. Oh, and I forgot to mention one thing for people traveling to Mexico to go diving. As far as like crossing the border, you have to get a pass, a tourist card that says you're diving, but it's free, right? You just have to go and stop at the checkpoint and say, I'm going to be diving X number of days,
Yeah, and there's some catch part about it, you can do the process online. There's a link that I can provide if somebody's interested, and you just stamp it at the border, and it's free. But if you don't bring it, there's some, that one is supposed to be to up to 7 days or something like that. So if you don't bring it at the border, they might charge you $6 because they're gonna be one that is for 6 months or something else. So that's why sometimes I have heard that people get charged for it. So it's because it's a different permit.
Right.
Don't ask me why they do it, but that's what they do.
Just so you know, I always forget to get the stamp.
Mm-hmm.
I filled out the online form and have it printed out, but
it happens because one thing that is true in Mexico, and remember, I'm Mexican, it says there's no signs. The signs on the roads are non-existent, or they're very late in the road. Like right when you should be turning, that's the way you want to go, right?
Right.
So in the sense, many people miss the pulled over section on the border, so they can get stamped the permit. So yeah, that's part of the culture.
Okay, so we're a little bit past our time. I just want to say thank you for doing this this presentation. It was awesome. Like I said, I always like talking about diving and what there is out there. You know, what people can, you know, go and explore, and all the different things that you can see out there. And something in this case, right across the border from San Diego, it's you know, there's a lot more stuff to be explored. So thank you for doing this month. So
thank you for having me, Jack. It was a pleasure.
And look forward to diving with you again really, really soon.
Yeah, we should do it with side mount now.
Yeah. And maybe bring me to that wreck that in Todos Santos that I didn't know was there.
Yes, we should go there and dive it. I only did it once, so let's go there and do a nice dive over there.
So that would be good. So just as everyone knows, again, we'll be presenting on the first Thursday of July, and that will be on the reef restoration project in Florida. And then we have some other presentations already scheduled for upcoming stuff. For those of you with dive shops or in different locations, if you're interested in also wanting to present with the deep dive with DUI, please contact me. You can send messages via Facebook or email, which is, I don't have a link on there, but it's jder@divedui.com, and we can arrange something in the future. So with that, so thanks everyone for coming, and I'm going to share my screen one last time, and this has some basic information for ways of reaching Jorge, and some of the different social media stuff. So thanks for coming, everybody. I'm going to mute. Bye.